welcome to my channel. My name is Erin, and I'm really glad you decided to join me today because I have a story to tell you. I have recorded 3 different videos to share with y'all, and I just kept having trouble getting them to upload, getting the editing software to work, and I was just having a heck of a time, and I didn't know what was going on. But you know what I figured out? God wanted me to share a different story with you. So today I'm going to tell you about me and what I came from and how I became the person that I am today. So I really hope you stick around till the end because it's going to be an awesome story. So to start with, my name is Erin and I will be 38 in June. I have an almost 9-year-old Josiah, an almost 7-year-old Samara, and a just turned 3 on Sunday, Talia. And my husband Dustin and I are going to be married for 10 years in September. So that's where I am today. But let me tell you about how I got here. I grew up in church. My dad is a pastor, and he was in the military when I was born, but he left the military to become a pastor. And we have been pastoring and being missionaries for my entire life as a family. When I was 13 years old, we were living in Washington, and my parents were sent to Zambia. Well, they volunteered to our head pastor that, hey, we want to go and pastor somewhere. We want to go internationally. We feel like God is calling us to Africa. So we wound up in Zambia. Zambia is southern central Africa, and we were in a place called Livingstone, which is right on the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe and right on the Victoria Falls. So it's a beautiful area. It's really awesome. But we spent almost 5 years there being missionaries. I have so many close friends from that time period. And we just had a great time. And I spent all of my high school years there. I graduated from high school in 2002 from homeschooling, or like kind of private. I guess it was homeschooling more than private schooling. But I had a lot of really close friends, and it was a really, really great time in my life. When we moved home, I began to struggle. I had grown up knowing what Jesus could do in your life. I watched it in and out every day. In my family, I watched God answer prayers. I watched people in my life who were going through all kinds of things, and God just changed their lives. And I knew the truth. I knew about God and the Bible and salvation and all those things. But I started kind of getting carried away with seeing what was going on around me, seeing at work, what people were going through, and got to a point in my life where I had let my feelings get hurt by a certain situation. And one of the parents of my Sunday school students had come at me and really didn't like me, didn't like the way that I was teaching, didn't like me as a person, I guess. I don't really know what caused it. But the way that she came at me, I allowed it to make me very angry. And my heart just built on that and built on that to a point where I felt so lonely. And I really struggled with recovering from that. I allowed my borders, I guess, my walls to get crumbled down by that. And I just began to struggle. And I found myself looking for some way to change things, to get away from where I was at, to start over. And so I just decided to take off with a friend and go back to Washington, where I had been when I was 13 years old. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be so fun. I made a conscious decision that day that I was going to leave church. I was going to leave God, and I was going to walk away. And I didn't want my dad, who I'm very close to see my life change the way that I knew it was going to. So moving away was an avenue of exploring that And so moving away was an avenue of exploring that and trying to protect him from seeing that. I don't even know how to explain that in a better way. I was with this friend in Washington for not even a month when I found myself completely homeless, living in a relationship with someone who was abusive, verbally, physically, and I found myself in a place where I decided to try using meth. I became a meth addict for the next almost 2 years. I did nothing but seek meth. I was a smoker, I was drinking, but meth was my thing. I remained homeless for the next almost 2 years, bouncing from couch to couch, hotel rooms when we could afford them, sleeping on a bus all night, staying in casinos where I could stay up all night but at least not be out in the snow. I even slept in a storage container for a few days, like a storage unit. My ex continued to get more abusive, physically, verbally, and it became sexually abusive. I was traded as a favor for drugs. I remember I got out of a hotel shower one time and there was somebody waiting for me there who said that I was supposed to pay for the drugs. And could I have said no? Yeah, I probably could have said no, but I was so afraid that I was going to get myself beat up that I didn't say no. And so, you know, these are things that just kept happening and just kept happening. And within a short period of time, I found myself working with another dealer, working my way up the ranks. I began to run meth for a dealer who was working with the Mexican mafia, and we didn't realize it, but we were under surveillance by the FBI. My parents came to visit me for a few days, and while they were sitting outside the house where I was staying, a police officer came to them and told them, you know, what are you doing here? Because they had a rental car, and they were like, oh, we're just waiting to pick up our daughter. And he told them, you know, if your daughter's in this house, then I would pick her up and run, because this house is going to be raided, and when it gets raided, everybody's going to jail. And my dad was like, well, can't you just call me and I can come get her? And they were like, no, if she's in there, she's going to jail, and we can't tell you anything about it. And he was like, okay. And he chose not to tell me that story until well later. And so they picked me up that day, and I stayed with them for 3 days. And during that time, my ex started shooting up. And somewhere I drew a line between smoking meth and shooting it up, because I felt there was a difference. And thank God that I did, because when I came back from that weekend with my parents and I found that this had been going on, it caused a big fight. And then I was like, well, it's either me or that. Well, my ex chose the needle, and that's when I was like, oh, well, if it's better than, you know, staying with me, then maybe I should try that. And I am not joking when I say to you that in that very moment of desperation, God spoke to me like a voice standing directly behind me in my ear. I heard God say to me, if you do not get out right now, Erin, you will never get out. And that scared the bejeebies out of me. I jumped up that day and I ran and packed a backpack full of stuff, and I called my parents and they sent me to the T-Mobile store to get a phone. My ex had taken my phone because it was another controlling method. I wasn't allowed to get in touch with anyone. I didn't even tell you how bad things were. This ex of mine told me I could kill you right now and chop you up in a million pieces and hide your body, and nobody would ever know because none of your family knows where you are. I had my nose broken twice. It's still crooked. I have a scar on my lip. I have a scar on my hand. And it was a rough time. So I found a way out of there. I stayed with a friend until my parents could get me a ticket home. I wanted to figure out what my life was heading to. Monday, April 20th, 2009, I flew home to Arizona to be with my parents. And I had spent a week smoking weed, trying to get through a come down of being up for 9 days on meth. And I was 112 pounds. I looked like a stick. If I can find a picture, I will insert it here. But I came home that day and I thought, oh, I'll just get my head on straight and I'll go right back. When I left Arizona to go to Washington, I was a manager at a bank. I had been working for that bank for 3 years. I had my own home. I had my own car. I lost all of that when I left. I just walked away, leaving the devastation of figuring out how to pay everything up to everybody else. When I came back, I realized if I go back, my life is going to go back to the same old thing. I'm going to be shooting up in no time. I'm going to be back in this abusive relationship. I'm going to be homeless again. When I was there in Arizona, I was staying with my parents, and one of the rules of staying at home is you have to go to church. And so I went to church. And that Sunday morning, I knew. I had always said, I've done this so many times. I've spent so much time trying to please God, trying to do this, trying to do that. And it's like, it's not about that. You have to want what God wants, because that's what you want, not because you just think it'll make Him happy. I realized that, and I gave my life to Jesus Christ that day. And I cannot tell you the amazing things that He has done for me. I decided to go back to school. I got my associate's degree in cosmetology and business management, and I graduated with honors. And my parents at that time moved from Arizona to Ohio to start a new church. And so I'd been living on my own, and I decided to follow them. And I moved here Christmas Day, 2011. And that first Sunday, I met a man named Dustin. And within a few months, we became really good friends. And in April, he had told me that he was falling in love with me. And I was like, that's cool. I'm waiting on God to do something, and I appreciate it. I'm flattered, but, I'm not interested. But by the end of May, I told him, you know, I've fallen in love with you also, and now I guess you better put a ring on it. And we were just friends at that point. But 2 weeks later, he proposed, and we got married 3 months later. And it's been 10 years, and it's beautiful. And now we have our 3 beautiful kids, and we own our own home, and we are basically debt-free except for our car. I mean, I'm sorry, our car is owned. We're debt-free except for our house. But God has done all these amazing things in my life, and I wanted to share those with you because if you're struggling with addiction, or you're struggling with a family member who's addicted to something, or you're struggling with homelessness or being in an abusive relationship, like, you're not alone. And there is hope. There is big hope out there for you, because Jesus Christ changed my life, and he can change yours too. And I would love to tell you all about that story. And if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below, because I'm going to end the story here. But I hope that this story has touched somebody, changed somebody's life. If you are going through this and you want to make a change in your life, I can tell you that all it starts with is a simple prayer. Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins and for mine. And if you just accept that into your heart, you ask him to live with you, he will change your life too. If you say this simple prayer, Lord Jesus, I know that you died on the cross for me, and I believe that you can forgive me of my sins. Come into my life and walk this life with me. Show me how to make those right decisions. Show me how to live my life for you. He will do that. If you prayed that prayer today, tell me in the comments so I can be praying for you. Hi, it's me. Okay, so I'm just here editing the video, and I wanted to pop on real quick and say a few things that I realized that I left out of my story. I did not script my story. I did not write it down. I did not do any of those things to help me to remember anything. And so as I'm editing this, I realized that I left out a couple things. I really want to make sure that I get those in there to you. So I'm going to go ahead and share those things with you. The first of those things is that I mentioned in my story that my dad was waiting outside of the house, and the police officer told him that the house was being watched. Now, my dad did not tell me that day. And from the time that he came and left, he was there for 3 days. And then it took me about a week. He was there for 3 days, and I left the house that I was staying in about 2 days after he left. So that was 5 days. And then I left Washington after 1 week later. So it was almost 2 weeks. And I left on April 20th, which was Monday. And I just wanted to let you know, like, God was really protecting me in that time, because there was a point that I had no idea any of this was going on. But on Tuesday, April 21st, that house that I was living in was raided by the FBI, and they took 27 people to jail. I had been working with the top meth dealer in Snohomish County, and at the time, I guess I didn't realize that, but we were working with the Mexican mafia, and we were working on all kinds of things like that. So I literally left the day before, and I had no idea. And the second thing that I wanted to say was I gave my life to Jesus April 26th. That was the Sunday after I got there, and I was able to completely quit all substance abuse, cigarettes, alcohol, meth, all of it. Completely quit it. And I have never had a relapse. I have never been to rehab. All of my recovery has been strictly through Jesus Christ and having a wonderful support system. My brother and my father were there in my life, and I struggled. I struggled a lot. I was emotionally codependent. I was unable to process emotions. After I got saved, I literally couldn't handle, like, I didn't know how to think or process emotions without using. And so I spent months just trying to learn how to be a person again, because it was like I was a 12-year-old going through puberty again. And I had to learn how to process things. A friend of mine had gotten into an argument in front of me, and then they came and found me. I was in my bedroom rocking on my bed because I was so traumatized from everything that I had been through, and I was so emotionally unstable at the moment that I was unable to process how I felt through that. And so thank God, thankfully, I have an amazing brother, an amazing father, and I had a really good friend. And these three people helped me to recover and to get through this process without having any relapses whatsoever, without having any rehab whatsoever. And now I am sober and in my right mind and loving life again. So I wanted to share that with you. I was very emotional when I was talking this morning. And so I've been thinking about it all day. What did I forget to put on there? What did I need to put in there? But you know what? I really want to know what you think. And if you have questions and if you want to know more about anything, please don't hesitate to ask, because I would love to get to know you more, and I would love to share my story with you more. And if you are going through that, I really want to be able to help you. So thank you for watching. Click subscribe so you can join me on the rest of this completely out of order journey that we're taking of just posting whatever it is that we're posting. So I really hope that you join this journey with me. And I will see you later. Thanks. Thank you for letting me share this story with you. You are chosen. You are loved. And God created you for a purpose.